everyone, it's Bobby at the Paper Jungle. Wanted to show you a waterfall card that I made. This was inspired by a card that I made several years ago, and when you pull on this little tab down here at the bottom, it pivots and your verse says, "Wishing you a season filled with love and happiness." And then it just goes back up like that, and on the inside this is your 4.5 by 11 card. It just says Merry Christmas, and I've stamped some of the candies from the Candyland stamp set on there. It was inspired by one I made many years ago, and this one I think it might be die cuts with a view paper, but I had printed a verse that says, "Yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not yet come, we only have today." And I really like that verse, so I may print that on my computer and do it on maybe a thinking of you card or something. But what I wanted to do yet to this one was place a couple of the little dots down on the bottom just for a little embellishment down there. See if I got some. I can put a couple of white ones down there. I don't know if any of these are Crumb Cake or not. Might be. Let me get my piercing tool. Those are gray. This might be Crumb Cake. Although I think the white will show up better. I'm going to use the white. And put a couple on each side. Just to kind of... It'll look like little candies too. And this is all the candy, I think it's called Candyland Christmas. It's in the new catalog, the paper and the stamp set. That's just the Crumb Cake cardstock, 4.25 by 11, scored in half at 5.5. And then I've used all of these little candies, and the glove and tree, the little small pieces from Candyland Christmas, and embossed it in red. And then the sentiment from the inside comes from Hang Your Stocking. It's just this little Merry Christmas here. And for the ovals, I used the 3rd and 4th from the smallest in the scalloped oval layering ovals. And then I took a sponge and the Real Red ink, and I just sponged around the edge of each one of these little ovals and around the edge of the card. So the one we're going to make today is pretty much the same color combination, but just a little bit reverse. I'm going to put it on a red background, real red. And I've got my pieces cut out. What I mostly wanted to show you how to do was how to make the mechanism for the waterfall. So this is a piece of 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5. And I've embossed the candies with white just for a border. I just did that ahead to save time. And I want to score that there, or fold it. Okay, now for the inside, I have already stamped the Merry Christmas. I'll just go ahead and put that in there while I'm here. It'll be one piece out of the way. And just use a little snail to put it down. And just center it on the inside, and then I'll have to go back and stamp the candies after a while. And I'll stamp envelopes with the candies to match it. I like to do envelopes to match everything. Okay, this is 1.5 by, I think it's 8.5. No, that's the full 11. We're going to need 1.5 by 8.5. Get this sweater off. It's getting warm in here. I had a sweater on and I was getting too warm. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off at 8.5. Actually, then I'll just go ahead and score it and then cut it off when I'm done. It needs to be, whoops, scored at 4.5 from the top. And this will be the panel for the back side. And then I'm going to fold this and do the corner rounder because I don't want the corners to show. The first one I didn't have a corner rounder, and you could see the corners peeking out, and I didn't like that. Oh, that didn't round too good. I guess this is too thick for it. Let me use this other one. That did it. The other one kind of got a nick out of it. I think it was getting plugged up there. It's got a little nick in it that shouldn't be there from that first one. I'll just even it up with the scissors so it's not so noticeable. There. It's not going to show anyway, but okay. So this is going to be your back piece that goes back here like that. So from the, let me move this up where you can see, from the score line, this score line, you want to put it in at 3/4, and you can see where this little score line hits the 3/4 on your cutter. And you want to make sure you're scoring. So you're going to score at 3/4. This way you can keep the edge straight by using your cutting mat. Then we're going to move it up to 1.5 inches. That's your next 3/4 mark. Then we're going to move it up to 2 1/4. And then up to 3. And you can see when that folds, because you put because of this little notch, you can see when that's perfectly lined up. I did put an itch in it. Okay. So we'll get that out of the way. Okay, now my base card. This is going to go on here like this, and this bar, like on there, is going to hold this down. So we have to have a hole punched in the center for our twine. What did I do with that hole punch? I brought one in here. Oh, right in front of my face. So we're just going to punch a hole. Now if this is too long, I may have to punch the hole again later. Well, no, that should be fine because this is the back piece. So that's going to go here. And we're going to score each of these. And then we can trim it off wherever we need it. You know, you may want it a little bit longer if you use a larger oval or maybe a square or something different than what I used. Make sure this is straight. And when you fold it and do your score lines, make sure that it's straight so that when you pull on it, it does exactly what you want it to. Okay. So I'm going to trim this off just a little bit more because we don't need all this. And I'll probably have to trim off a little bit more yet. Okay, so this is going to go this way. And your first one is going to go, make sure if you have a directional paper that you put it the right way so that when you raise it, it's right side up and not upside down. Okay, so this is, you want this one this way. So this will be your first one. And then your second one will be wishing you a season. Go on this one. And then your third one will be filled with. And your last one will be love and happiness. And on this one I cut them a little bit smaller so that you'd have a border on the inside, and I like that better because the first one I didn't. I made them the exact same size, as you can see. So on this one you'll have a little border showing. I think that'll look nicer. So, okay, so this needs to go, let's adhere these down to our ovals. And this is a Stampin' Up! Sentiment on, which one? It's on one of these two that I used. Let me look and I'll tell you real quick. It's on the Hang Your Stocking. And I tried to do it with the ink pads and I tried to do it with the markers and I couldn't get a good image, so I just typed it on my word processing and printed it out on the computer and then cut it with the layering ovals. I kept getting all these little blurbs of color in places I didn't want it. So this is going on there. And then wishing you a season. I'll put that one down there. Okay. So this is your first one. Let's start with the bottom so we can layer them and make sure they're gonna. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one goes here. The first one is going to go at the very top, then the second, the third, and the fourth. And you'll still have one score mark down at the bottom. So we just want this edge to just barely go above the score line. Just barely. Oop. And we're going to adhere that down. Then the next one goes on. Just so that let's scoot it up just a hair, so that it covers the words on the one below it. And they may peek out just a tiny bit, which is okay. You just don't want the whole thing peeking out. And then wishing you a season goes at the top. A little piece of lint there. Make sure I've got them lined up here. And then this one goes at the top. Make sure I've got it right. That way it'll keep those edges from showing. Okay, so there's your mechanism. Oops, there's some glue in there. Okay, now this goes underneath. You can see how it is underneath. And then this one stays on top. So let me trim that a little bit more because I don't want it to hang out below this. I want it to be right just up under the edge of that oval. Okay. So we're going to put this little red bar down. And we're just going to glue it on both sides. About maybe an inch or 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And this stays underneath. Yeah, like that. And we can go ahead and do our twine while this is setting up. Make sure I've got this straight. Yeah. Okay. And on the other one I used the red and the gold together. since we had the crumb cake, I thought the gold would be a pretty addition to the red. So we want it about like so. I want it to be thick, kind of like a tassel, sort of, you know. There's that, and I dropped the gold. And we can trim it down when we get it pulled through if it's too long, which I think it's going to be. Let me trim it right here. And I'll put one more length on it so it's kind of thick. Somebody's got the TV going, huh? I think the grandkids are in there. Okay. Okay, let's get this out of the way. And we're going to poke these through the, just fold it in half. And we're going to put it through here. Put them both through here. And then we're going to just loop them through. Like that. We'll put the, whoops, I'm missing one there. There we go. And put these tails through here and just pull them on through. Like that. Okay. Now that we've got that in there, now it'll go like that, and we'll put a little bit, you just want to lift this up just a hair so you can see where this red edge is, and we're going to glue that down to this bar. Just a tiny bit of Tombow. Like that. And just pull it down, make sure you got it straight, pull it down over the Tombow and press it down. Let's make sure we've got it nice and straight. Like that. Okay, let's trim this off. And put some candy dots on this one. I think I'll do white again. Get a couple more. Actually, I've only got 3 white left, so I can't put 2 on each side. I can put 1 on each side. Like that. I don't think there's white in any of the others. No. That'll work anyway, though. Okay, so that's the basics of the card. And then when you pull on this, it says, wishing you a season filled with love and happiness. And then this goes back up. I'm trying to be gentle with it till the glue dries. And then it lays like that. And when you open it up, Merry Christmas and room to write your sentiment. And then I'll put the candies in there like I had on the original one. So that's the red one, and this is the one I already had made out of crumb cake. Oops, I meant to open it. And I'll add these little candies to the new one, and they're embossed with the red embossing powder as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. There's more videos coming soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.